Hey,
Are we live?
I think so. Are we?
We made it? We are.
Yeah. All right.
So,
How you
what's
doing?
new with Matt? I'm doing all
What's up
right.
with Ryan?
It's sunny.
You've been traveling. You've been in New York, right? Where were you?
Uh, I was in
San
SF. New
Francisco.
York's a good guess. It's
Okay.
typically at New York. I'm just gonna take a quick drink of mate here to like give me some energy, and then we'll blast for
Okay.
with the news. Synchronized large water
Synced.
bottles. Okay.
Yes.
I was in SF, and listen, I apologize if I say this wrong. I think it's Andrew Ng, maybe Andrew Ng, had a. Do you know him? He does like deep learning AI, I
Oh
think,
yeah,
and
yeah.
he's got a
Okay, yeah.
conference called AI Dev SF, and it was the 2026 version of this. Listen, I would love to tell you about that
It would be
conference.
really weird if it were the 2025 version or
That
27.
that would be true. Although that would have made things a lot easier for me. I got to say, the conference was packed, full of people who had like opinions and knowledge of things that I just did not have. There was just so much
Yeah.
going on throughout the day. There's so many people. I think I sent you a photo of like a common,
Yeah.
essentially like a packed conference, which is exactly what it was. It was at, I want to say, Pier 48 in SF. So not, I think it's called
Okay.
Dogpatch. So not Dogpatch, but towards there.
Hmm.
It was pretty interesting. Yeah, it was.
Cool.
It was busy. I think is the main conclusion I had. But also there were a lot of people from all around the world, which was interesting to me. I had assumed that maybe only people locally would show up. This was not the
Hmm.
case. There were people from all over the globe. Multiple people from Europe, multiple people from India, a few
Who
people
like
from
came
Asia
for that
Pacific.
event?
Yeah,
Like
which like
traveled? I mean,
yeah,
now it's kind
yeah,
of hard.
and
I guess TSA is back in service, but it's still kind of a hard time to travel.
yeah. like
Yeah,
like all of this one, I thought it was like a local event because it seemed like it was more about deep learning AI. I thought
yeah.
perhaps in terms of the people there, I thought it might be VendorConf. It was not VendorConf at all. I mean, there were
Mhm.
vendors there for sure, but it was mostly learners, which is kind of cool. So people who were either new or like intermediate at their stage, or people who were
Uh-huh.
like want to, I don't know, talk about their startup or where they are with their advancements in this industry, and
Right.
it was amazing actually. So I learned a lot
Wow.
from the learners as well as the people out there building stuff, the builders,
Yeah.
which is fantastic. I just did not expect the amount of people I talked to. My voice was hoarse for, well, I think as of
Mhm.
yesterday it got better. So
Wow.
3 days.
Wow.
Yeah, I talked to a lot of people. So there were only three of us there. So we had Jason Hand, who I think you know,
Yep.
Marina Petzel, who is a new hire for us in
Hmm.
SF, who's going to concentrate on AI, and myself. And all three of us were busy like both days. I feel
Wow.
like they were both 12-hour days. It might have been 12 hours one day and 11 the other.
Yeah.
But start at 7 a.m. and at 5 for the first day, and start at 8 and at
Wow.
5:30 the second. It was rough. Like one bathroom
Uh,
break, 10 minutes for lunch kind of thing. It was like there was
Yeah.
a lot of people.
I
We
mean,
could have
with
used help. Like it would have been nice to have some more people help out, but there
yeah.
really wasn't a lot of room at that pedestal either. And we were
Oh,
right
you
just
just
at
had
the
a
entrance to all
pedestal.
the vendor stuff. Yeah. Yeah. So it was like we were probably spilling out into other,
Yeah.
areas too, which I always feel bad about. So luckily our neighbors were AWS in front of us. And I think to the right
Hmm.
of us was AI 21 Labs, who you've probably heard of
Hmm.
before, but they're
Okay.
quite friendly because I felt that we were trying to like not spill over into
Yeah.
their area
Yeah.
because there was just like a crowd of people, mostly people who knew Datadog, which is great,
Okay.
but almost entirely people who didn't realize that Datadog did anything in the AI space, which is like, this is kind of why I was there, I suppose, to let people
Yeah.
know that we can do things around experiments, evaluations, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. I mean, that sound at first I was saying, oh, that's kind of like reinvent kind of times but except
It
with
it
Datadog's
felt like
presence at
that,
reinvent, you've got 2 hour shifts, 3 hour shifts, and then
right?
somebody else takes over, but you're on all the time.
Yes, it felt like a re-event or a dash in terms of the amount
Yeah.
of people at the booth. I just don't have any other frame of comparison. I've
Yeah.
been at GCN and things like that, but they just aren't that busy in
Yeah.
terms of people wanting to talk to us, to talk to Datadog. It was great though. I get to learn what a lot of people are looking for is essentially evaluations or like a happy path through evaluations
Hmm.
for a lot of the people that I talk to. And for
Hmm.
those people, they're starting to treat it. Just we'll just talk about cogen for a moment, but
Hmm.
cogen is more of like a simulation as opposed to like something that gives you the actual result you're looking for.
Right.
Whereas they're starting to think more of, if I re-roll 10 times, will I get a better result or not? Which is, I think, in terms of a non-deterministic system, that might be a better approach than just assuming that the first pass is going to give you the best answer
And
every time. So
does Datadog have an answer there, or for
yes,
evaluation? Really?
yes, we do. So
Okay.
look, I mean, if you're building your own, you would probably say prompts and sessions and claims and things like that are all logs. You can ingest logs with tags. We can relate those to an AI provider and then start to do
Mm,
LLM as a judge or LLM in the loop to figure out what those tags are.
right.
It's more complicated than that. It's more traces than logs.
Right.
But imagine that as you're getting traces from apps and you know the endpoints that they're talking to,
Hmm.
so it's OpenAI API compliant, or I think it's Anthropic Gateway is the model that they use compliant, or there's a few others, but basically if you can capture that traffic, then you know what the payloads are, not only
Right.
going out but also coming in, and as a result, you can get a lot of info. So yeah, I think, and there's some other things that I think are in preview that might be interesting, like prompt management, because everyone's got a spreadsheet or their favorite prompt, and then of course a new model comes out and they have to play with it just a little bit. Last
Right.
week we were talking about Opus 4.7, which I don't know if you've played with, but for me is not as good as 4.6.
Right.
I've gone back to 4.6, in fact. Not to disparage Anthropic, but if I could go back further to 4.5 with a smaller context window, I might
Yeah.
even be happier. And this, I think we talked about a while ago, but the context doubling seems to be handy if you need to stretch like a
Right.
session, but generally as a result, after 50%, things get bad. And these
Yeah.
days, after 66%, they become like just
Yeah.
not unusable, but very close to unusable.
Yeah.
And it's better just to start a new session. Like compacting isn't even worthwhile at that point,
Right.
which is sad, actually. And I feel like the context window I had in 4.5 was mostly usable up until
Hmm.
about three quarters full, which is like, maybe this is me working on different things back then than I am
Right.
now, but it basically, like, I got
Yeah.
more juice essentially out of what I was paying
Right.
for. All this to say, and I'm still using Olama and I'm still using OpenAI because I feel like, well, I've been using Kimi K2.6, and some of
Hmm.
the attendees there were like, Datadog lets you use that. I was like, oh, personal plan, that kind of thing. But there was a lot of talk about sovereign models, I think, sort of between the lines. So you were
Mm,
talking about people flying to the US and stuff like that. And of course,
right.
there's NVIDIA's big brouhaha with China as like a nation state trying to buy their things. But I think what it comes down to is there's a general, like a caution of using, even
Hmm.
if they're hosted on Olama, a model that might be Chinese in origin. Now for Cogen, I feel like if there's any worry there, it's probably a little bit more minimal. And
Yeah.
if we're teaching people what I'm working on, I mean, I'm more than happy to educate all of the models, in fact, on BSD. Like I'm here for it. Like whatever wiki page you've scraped is not enough. The corpus of all of the models, I'm just gonna put a line in the sand. All of the models for things like Solaris, AIX, IRIX,
Hmm.
Unix, and any of those like also ran operating systems is pretty bad.
Yeah.
Further, I actually think it's pretty bad at Windows, and it might have something to do with PowerShell being overly verbose, but it's not great at
Mm,
PowerShell. In fact, I think it sucks pretty bad. It's quite good at command.exe commands, and I
right.
have no idea why. I've not really played around with it too much
Hmm.
because I ended up just going to BSD route. I was like, oh, there's a juicy problem I can play with.
Right.
But for me, at least, I find that Kimi K2.6 gives me better results for agent teams than I get out of Opus 4.7, which is terrible. Like
Yeah.
that's like an
Yeah.
absolute failure. On my own time, playing with BSD agents, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But it feels like some of it has to do with maybe trigger words that Anthropic's putting
Right.
in. Like when they catch things, it seems like they route me a different way.
Yep.
The usage is really bad. I'm sort of dancing around the Hermes topic. I'm not sure if you've heard about this. If you have Hermes in your agents.md, Anthropic will
Mm,
essentially put you into
hmm.
like a different tier for billing. I haven't had that problem, but I'm working on
Yeah.
a lot of not OpenClaw stuff, but
Right.
OpenClaw adjacent agents.
Right.
And it looks like that kind of work for me uses my API credits like right away. Like I run out
Wow.
of credits into open usage immediately.
Yeah.
But if I'm working on things like Claude Code, which you're not supposed to work on, inside of Claude, for example, adding things in the status line, it's got that little status line in there after the model
Right.
name. You can kind of put whatever you want, be it context or whatever. I put Datadog's pop in there, and I've been playing with that as a virtuous cycle back and forth. So I can have it do deploys, check on the deploys because it's got a
Mm.
hook, and I can send the hook off into the context, and you can essentially
Right.
poison the context, which is
Right.
super handy actually. It'd be like, oh, I just deployed something. Can you go check? And before it can even write the can you go check, it gets the stop hook the hook back, and it will say, hey,
Right.
deployment failed. Try something else, which is great. But it feels like if you're working on something other than Claude Code in Claude
Yeah.
or some other agent, for example, the results are like not good. And this is just my feel, but a lot of what I'm working on is agent, so it does not help me at all, in fact. So ChatGPT 5.5, I think is what I was, maybe it was 5.4, as well as Kimi 2.6 seem to be the way to like make reusable agents. And I sort of bounce back and forth between the two of them, having one check the work of others. But when it comes to agent teams working on agents, which might be specific, it does not
Mm-hmm.
feel like the Anthropic experience is what I want. And I want to love them. Like I pay them a lot of
Right.
money. I'd love to get value
Right.
out of it. But it feels to me like another Context 7. I again, want to love Context
Yep.
7, but totally useless. And I just
Yeah.
canceled Perplexity this week because like I paid for computer use, which like I ran out of credits before even putting in the first
Yeah.
line. I was doing daily searches for news, and literally all it does is pull up its news page. And again, it's summarizing summaries. And as a result, it's not lying, but it's misleading
Yeah.
a lot of the times, which is really annoying. Things like, I think this week's news said Chat GPT 5 came out this week. Which is like, no, it did not. The other one, which listen, you and I discussed last time, but I'll say it again. It also proclaimed that Olama now supports MLX, making a marked speed increase for Mac. And I'm like, I don't know. I've been testing for 3 weeks, and like, I legit can't say that's true, but I can prove for small models. Anything other than like short prompt, long output, like long context, I don't think is faster than MLX. And like, I'm not going to die on this hill, but I'd love someone to prove me wrong and show me what model they're using, because
Mm-hmm.
I've really tried them all. And I do think MLX is great for things like LFN 2.5. Have you played with the liquid models at all?
No.
It is
LFM?
lightning fast.
Okay.
LFN, I think. Yeah, Liquid Foundation, maybe. They are so fast on MLX. Like that one for me isn't like an obvious winner. I think the other one that I was playing around with was Gemma 3.5, Gemma 3, sorry, because you can go and hack around with the model a little bit and do fun things, which is pretty handy. But those two smaller models, so the ones that are around like I'd say like 1 to 4 gigabytes seem to be like the sweet spot. There's not really anything up below 1 that I found that's really that good. I think Phi or Phi was maybe the best, 5.4 or Phi 4. I know, I don't know how to say this. Phi 5 full fun. Whatever that model is that Microsoft bought is quite good. It might be the only one below 1 gig that's handy, but it's still not the same as like Gemma 3N, which is, I think, the king in that area. Anyway, all this to say, it feels like Anthropic is maybe suffering from being so popular, and as a result is trying to put up guardrails against things like OpenCloud. They're becoming really popular and may also be a security problem. I don't know anything about Hermes, I gotta say. I kind of found the OpenCloud agent design for me was enough to get started working on something else. And it didn't look like to me Hermes added anything else that I'd want. In fact, anything with a skill store or can like do research on its own or becomes popular is now something I want to walk away from, because I don't want to be involved with it. I'm sure you saw that. I think it was like a small 730 byte Linux exploit, for example, from like 2017 to now. And it's like, this is why we're working on BSD. Like, I'm sure they're coming for BSD too. I heard that they're the new Anthropic security model found something in OpenBSD, for example. But this is where I'm at now. Like, if I could revive Solaris, maybe that's the OS I need to play around with. And I kind of like, I'm moving away from the popular OSs, which is security by obscurity. It is not the right approach. But for now, it feels like it's what I want in my lab. That's what I've been working on.
So, with you mentioned that you've been using Olama a bit. Has it been Olama Cloud or Olama Local?
Olama Cloud. I think K2.6 is like way too large. Like, I don't think anything like that. Yeah, okay.
And so
listen, if you find out something different, I want that experience at home, so let me know.
Have you had issues with Olama Cloud?
Not at all, other than the thundering herd problem that I told you about. So I've got 14-ish agents, give or take, depending on what I'm doing on the
Hmm.
day. If they all talk to each other and listen
Hmm.
to each other, it creates like 14 squared, at
Right.
least, connections to Olama, and it balks at it basically. So I've
Yeah.
had to put, I think I'm using Tensor Zero now, is what I ended up routing things through to make sure it didn't create too many API requests
Right.
per second.
Right.
But other than that, it's actually been really, really good.
Yeah.
I
So
was
I
using 2.5
also
and 2.6 now. Okay, go ahead.
I also don't experience any issues. But
Okay.
if you go onto the Discord for Olama,
Yeah.
there's a cloud focused, channel or room,
Okay.
and it
Yeah.
is all about complaints about slowness and just timing out. As like I don't have these issues, and then it's like, well, is it maybe I'm on something special because I was
Or
with
region,
the
because we're both on the
original
West
team,
Coast.
but
Yeah,
but
maybe.
you definitely were not, and so it's interesting.
It,
I mean, I
and my
I
agents.
even if even
Yeah.
if like 1% of people who have a problem are
Mhm.
complaining on the so it's 100 times more, and I
Right.
think it's still a really really tiny number of people of customers who are actually experiencing any issue. But I mean I wanted to assume that, but I didn't know for
Right.
certain. So
Yeah,
it's
I mean, I'm only one data point, and you and
yeah,
I are
yeah,
probably talking to whatever Olama data
right,
center is closer to us. So it might be that
yeah,
the West Coast experience is different than
sure, sure,
APAC, EU. Having worked
yeah,
on those problems
yeah,
professionally, it might
yeah,
be something like that.
yeah,
But the agents that I've got run overnight, in fact, they're talking to each other over
mhm,
IRC pretty much all day long, working on like the work. Like, I'm so sorry for the world. I'm not trying to boil the ocean, but I might
mhm.
be like sipping up some puddles over here. We're working on computer problems, like
Yeah,
honestly, like foundational BSD Unix kind of stuff. But they don't have any issues whatsoever. In
yeah,
fact,
yeah,
I've got their retries logged because I was causing problems. I'm sure
yeah,
Lama knows exactly who I am because I was causing problems by creating
yeah,
like massive storms of API calls. So I want to catch that. But like, I don't want
yeah,
to lose my account with Olama or
sure.
Anthropic or ChatGPT, whatever. I want to respect the terms of service because I don't want to say I'm like addicted, but I'm super close to addicted. Like, if you took it away, I think I'd be all right, but I'd really be like, oh, like another idea for Claude or another idea
Yeah,
for ChatGPT. You know what I mean? I'd be writing them down
yeah,
because I know it's where I'm at. But I don't think I've seen any issues other than, as far as I can tell, me abusing the API.
yeah.
And then what it does is it creates like it's almost like a tar pitting. So responses are
Mm,
slower after that, but they also respond, which is like
yeah, yeah,
massive, massive
yeah,
applause to Olama because that is not
yeah,
what I would do.
yeah,
I'm very trigger happy with the band hammer,
yep.
perhaps, but like my first thing with the API would be like power and feather. Like
Yeah,
you're on a timeout for a day or something.
right.
Come back or email me or do something else. They're actually pretty nice. So they put you on like a rotating 5 minute sweep. It looks like, and it seems to
Mm,
last only about 3 turns, which is fantastic. So you're down a max of 15 minutes, and you're not really down. It's just that you're going to have slower responses from the API calls that you've got. And again, maybe this is my region, but like that experience to me is way better than Anthropic or
right,
ChatGPT because both of those are like, no, we're offline. Check the status page, and then you go to the status page, and it's like everything's fine. They have to check Twitter and like ask other
right.
people, and then an hour later they admit that it was down. Which is again, I've been there. I've had that. You don't want to admit that you're down, and I think one of these companies might be at a single digit nine. Was another joke that was happening at SF AI Dev Day 26. Is that we're
Yeah.
just I think it's because there was a company going around talking to people and their name was five nines. And the joke
Oh,
was that some of these AI providers are not even close to 1.9. Like they're
right.
actually they may not have 0.9s soon.
Yeah.
Well, does 89% count? This was sort of the joke. Like, there's a 9 and 89%, but I don't think that's what we mean. I think it's leading nines.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, there was
Yeah.
a comment in the chat that Kimi K2.6 with open code, and I'm using the Olama launch open code model.
Okay.
Positive you showed me this, but like it's so handy,
Yeah.
and I've been using it with Zelig or
And have
Zelly
you been
J or whatever you call it,
using OpenCode, or have you also played around at all with
open
Pi?
code. I have thoughts about
Yeah.
Pi, and and,
Yeah.
and maybe so I'll keep it clean for a second. So
Hmm.
one, open code has tasks, and it behooves you all if you like agent teams to look at
Yeah.
tasks. because it's new and they're currently figuring out what it looks like. But
Yeah.
the way Anthropic works, and I know they want to keep the secret, and I realize the source is out there, but like what happens is they actually put it in the teams when we're sharing messages back and forth, is that they seem to drop it in a mailbox, and then the team
Mm.
member will pick it up from a mailbox and then drop it back in.
Yep.
Tasks are basically the same in open code. It's just that they're using like a task list, which
Yep.
might actually be a better paradigm.
Yep.
The alternative to this, in terms of tasks, if you're looking at something like Codex or ChatGPT, is they use like a determined set of task runners, and
Right.
you'll run out of those. Like you assign one task, cool, until like I think it's 10. And it won't stop the task runner. So
Yeah.
and it names them I think A to Z, and it uses scientists, et cetera, whatever. That's totally fine. But it doesn't get rid of the task when it's done, and it
Mm.
often when you start a new task will say, oh, I've got to like reap, basically I've got to reap
Yeah.
first, so cancel all those tasks and then start new ones. It's just such a bad design. Like, I'm
Yeah.
trying to be polite, but it's like this is the wrong thing to do. Like you're not going to reuse
Right.
that agent, so you jettison it or
Yeah.
allow more, or do something. Like this is not the right way to do it. One thing they get really right that OpenCode does not is assigning different levels of reasoning or thinking to the
Mm.
models that are your agents. Because OpenCode is like, oh yeah, like you get Kimi 2.6, you get Kimi, you all get Kimi K 2.6, and it's
Yeah.
like that's great. But actually, what if I need like a vision model, or what if
Yeah.
Haiku would actually be better here?
Yeah.
And it just, as far as I can tell, doesn't have a way to do that without defining it or telling it to do it, which
Right.
as far as I can tell, doesn't even work. Like it tries to do it, but can't do it. What you
Right.
can do is use like a one-liner, basically, so like a Claude P or Codex Exec or OpenCode from the command line
Hmm.
inside of OpenCode. Sorry, I'm getting way down a path here, but basically, tasks in OpenCode are awesome.
Yeah.
Open source, you can go in there and like argue about how they should work, which is fantastic. What I want to do with Pi is possibly exactly what Peter did with OpenClaw, which is why I'm really careful not to get there just
Right.
yet. So instead, I
Yeah.
forked II, which is like a suckless IRC client, and I bolted on kind of that stuff that Pi does. But
Okay.
essentially, if you boil it down to what Pi is a loop, and it
Yeah.
just runs a loop, and then you bolt on things you want to that
Yeah.
loop as you go, which is like in my mind the right way to build an agent.
Right.
And again, I've built like 50 of them. They're all terrible. I may have built one that works. So like all my life is full of failure and learning from failure. So don't follow my example. I will say at the event we were at, we had Diamond Bishop, who is a newer hire to Datadog, who is sort of running Skunkworks, okay to say, is I think that's
Okay.
politically correct.
Yeah.
Skunkworks, or maybe we could say like an AI incubator within
Right.
Datadog, and like Datadog Labs. So as part of Datadog Labs, what he's trying to do is come up with the agent dispatch system. And the goal is to think about failures that we've had internally at Datadog, and try to
Mm.
come up with like an opinionated set or scope of framework for people to
Right.
build their own agents with observability built in. So the
Mm.
agent may or may not be able to inspect its own data, but should be able to look at data for
Right.
other agents, which is actually pretty handy. And I want to say that's kind of the paradigm that I've been building on as well. And it feels like when we talk about Pi, like that's what I would want out of Pi.
Right.
I would want to build that kind of agent in a secure enclave with
Yeah.
Pi. I'm honestly not even there yet. Like I don't know what a
Yeah.
secure enclave looks like.
Yeah. No, right.
And
Right.
maybe this is a problem that like I'm stuck on as like a ops engineer. This is
Right.
very, very important to me. Things like trust zone, root of trust, and nonces and things
Mm.
like that. Like how do I prove that the agent running in this OS is
Right.
okay, that it like, hasn't been messed with or what have you? And that's a completely different problem that I think Pi solves. And I'm honestly not there yet. I'm sorry. Having
Yeah.
played with it just a little bit, like it's something that I want. I just don't need yet.
Yeah.
How about yourself? Have you played
Cool.
with it? Because it's awesome. I've watched all of his talks. I think he's a
Yeah.
very good speaker. As one of his
I
maintainers is also fantastic. Sorry, go ahead.
yeah. I've gone back and forth between Pi and OpenCode. OpenCode is where I tend to do more things, and the OpenCode. I guess in the last, maybe it's now about a month, the newer UI is
Mhm.
fantastic.
Of OpenCode, right?
Of OpenCode, yeah.
Yeah, would agree.
Not the integrations with other IDEs, but their actual UI, which
Agreed.
Yeah, it's great. I love using that. And I keep, a terminal open at the bottom just to, when I need it. But yeah, it's awesome. Um, you mentioned the two nines, one nine, no nines. You've seen announcements from different projects saying, okay, we're giving up on GitHub.
I publicly posted a blog post
Oh yeah,
about it because again, security by obscurity.
yeah.
I can't think of a way to run GitHub Actions securely on GitHub, which is
Oh, okay, yeah,
which is like such a sad thing to say.
yeah,
But like I kind of role played it in my mind, and it's like if I wanted to create an open project and use their runners, the runners are
right,
the main reason I went away.
yeah.
I I can't see a way of doing it. On top of which, I'm not sure if their runners support the use case that I have now,
Mm,
which is launching agents with inference capability without paying them a lot of money. And
right,
and
yeah,
and, and
yeah,
that's okay. They're allowed to make money, but what I want is different. On top of which, there's people in there doing like sploggy stuff and misnaming things
hmm,
within there. Like it's already like alerting enough to me
yeah.
that Anthropic is Anthropics on GitHub.
Right,
Like that like, not as a warning sign. It's kind of like a yellow flag, but it's like, wait a second. And then there have been a number of issues with
yeah,
things like npm or pypy or packages that are on
yeah,
GitHub being attacked. And it's
yeah,
like, like I love the translation PRs and stuff like that, but also
hmm,
if it's an Armenian, like I'm now at like high
yeah.
alert, which is terrible, right?
Yeah.
What I notice is that Gitty or Git
Okay.
is
Yep.
more than what I need
Right.
locally. If in fact,
Have you
it's
looked at any
fantastic. It's
others?
no, just
No.
that
Okay.
because I
Okay.
wanted locally hosted, and there was nothing else that seemed to have a license, code base, and runners that I liked. But
Yeah,
again,
because
I'm happy to try
Gitti
this.
switched to a private company, right? It's and there was some drama around that, which is when
Right.
Codeberg kind of forked out of it.
Right. I
Um,
think Gitty, the hosting provider, might be what they're talking about, but
okay.
the privately hosted one is like it's yours, MIT
Yeah.
license. It's in Go. I would have preferred it was in Rust, but like whatever. We can hack on Go. That's not the end
Yeah.
of the world. Um, and it's fast. It's like really, really, really,
Yeah.
really fast. Like I didn't realize
Yeah.
GitHub was slow until I started hosting stuff
Yeah.
locally. It's like, oh yeah, GitHub is incredibly slow. Actually, I didn't even notice. And it's
The
like that.
problem
I
I have
always
with
yeah.
self-hosting
Go ahead.
Gitti is
Yep.
me self-hosting, and I mean,
Mm,
just knowing whether it's going to exist after with for more than 2 years. I mean, anything that I've run, the version. I mean, I've had a website for 30 years, but it's
mhm.
definitely not been the same thing. It's I change it. I change it up a lot.
Right.
I don't know if I kind of like having some other org running it.
Right. You want somebody else to be responsible for the
Yeah,
uptime.
yeah. But
Now, here's
but
here's
then
where I'm at.
again,
Yeah.
GitHub has not been have a very good record about uptime in the last few. Hence, Hashimoto's um, announcement about Ghosty moving off of GitHub.
Right. My problems may be different, and I had moved prior to that, and it was really funny. Like the week I was away from home and didn't have access to my Gitty, like I had to use Tailscale, because PRs weren't loading. Like legit would
Mm,
not list
yeah,
my PRs. I was like,
yeah, that
this is
was,
kind this is kind of what I
and then
used it for. Like,
right, yeah, there was a problem pretty recently where a whole bunch of PRs got rolled back and
like
lost.
or nuked. Yeah, nuked.
Yeah,
Nuked is not cool for like I'm using like as a task list. It's probably obvious,
yeah,
but like I'm using it as like a task list brain for my agents.
hmm,
And honestly, if it all went away and people didn't see my code, I'd actually be happy. So like I understand
yeah,
your thing, but that's a
yeah,
benefit for me. I don't want people to see my embarrassing prompts and code that I've been working on because I'm learning. Like
right,
if I get nothing out of this, it's that my brain has maybe increased in size by 1% or something like that. My
right,
stored knowledge is also increasing as I'm up to like 1 a.m. eating snacks and drinking yerba mate. But For me, it's more about, can I get a place where my agents can read and respond to PRs, have agents run tasks agentically. So basically, if a task runner is spawned off by Gitee, it can be launched with intelligence, which I think is something I want locally, which is what
Right.
I've been doing. The other is like, if I want to upload like massive files, or like
Right.
make
Yeah.
things public or whatever, I don't have to worry about like
Yeah.
leaking environmental variables and things like that, because like
Right.
right now, even though I might wave the OAuth flag and try to get everybody convinced, like this is going to take
Right.
a year, 2 years, 3 years to finally get to the point where you can say like, you can't have plain text credentials around agents. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Or
Yeah.
like, they're taking your toys out of the sandbox, but like it's done. That era is
Yeah.
over. We're not there yet, and until we get there, like I'm seriously just, I'm okay playing in my own sandbox locally for now.
Yeah.
And then anything I've got that needs to be pushed upstream, I'll do it. So all I did was I took all my I think I got 400 plus repos, a lot of
Hmm.
forked stuff that needs to be
Hmm.
like just it needs to die anyway. So it's time for a cleanup. I grabbed it all locally to Gitee, and then I told my agents, just like, fix this, fix
Right.
all of this. Like, some of them are out of date, some of them
Yeah.
never work, some of them should be deleted. Start sifting through it, and
Yeah.
Communicate 2.6 is doing a really good. I mean, it's public
Wow.
data anyway. It's probably already in the
Yeah.
corpus. These are mostly public repos.
Yeah.
I've got some gists, and I have left my gists on GitHub. At some point in time, I might move them, but for right now, that's kind of where I'm at. I do want to say though, there was one question in the chat about
Yeah. I was
Llama
looking at that
moving away
too.
from stuff. I think this is important because we are talking about Communicate 2.6, and I put my sauce on this, man. It's probably not going to be the same flavor that you'll give, but to me, it feels like Olama is doing a public good by giving people easy access to Communicate 2.6, whereas locally
Yeah.
running it would be next to impossible.
Impossible.
I
Yeah.
think it's fantastic. Whether or not they're moving away from that is hard to say, but I think being
Uh,
able to do that with Olama is phenomenal, because I
yeah.
really don't want to use any other provider. I'm so
Yeah.
sorry. Just in terms of like who I work for, and where I work and stuff like that, it's much better to use Olama. So that's where I'm at. I think if they took it away, I'd be very sad, basically. I love the local
I don't
stuff for
think there's
sure.
any chance that open source Olama would ever go away.
That's what I thought,
That
right? Like,
that
it's
is
got too
that
much
is
weight.
never going to be. I
Yeah.
mean, the two original founders, as well as at least the four other people that I know that I knew when I was working there, um, or that yeah, the four other people who were working there when I was there, as well as the I don't know a dozen more or so other people that work there now. I mean, they believe so passionately in open
Right.
source that would never go away. And the idea of, I mean, it's so important that to them to like contribute back to other projects that that they leverage and to do the right thing, even though there's enough articles that have come out about them not doing the right thing, which
Right.
is like
Right.
completely bogus. But there's
So
no
far,
arguing that
like
they.
listen, I'm leaving the floor is open for them to fail publicly, but so far,
Yeah, yeah.
it's been good. The other question
So
in
I don't
here
see that
was,
going away.
yeah, I don't either. The other one is about Matt's dev cred. So I think Matt would tell you he's a developer, but he uses this weird like
Do
JavaScript
I?
languages. I don't
Oh,
know. He doesn't use Python. So is he a real dev or?
well, Python's a joke of a language, of course.
See, folks, this is what I
Yeah,
have to deal with.
Python is ridiculous. I don't understand how anybody in their right mind can think that Python is useful.
Cam, I think there's your answer. Is that Matt has
Yeah.
never used LLMs for Python.
I
I'm
mean,
teasing. He probably has.
I have,
He's
I
probably used
have.
it out of anger.
Um, I'm
Uh, but
kind
yeah,
of forced
I
to.
think
Yeah,
I think both of us are trying to make things with
yeah,
LLMs.
yeah.
On my end,
So,
I'm probably doing a lot
what
more
was
on the
your
cost
last
side.
project that you built? What was the last like thing that was useful to you, maybe to others, but useful to you that we used with AI to build?
The one I'm currently maintaining is like an
Hmm.
agent skills repo for Datadog. And I
Okay.
think that's fairly useful, but those are markdown files. In terms of
Yep.
actual code, I made a UEFI bootloader, which allows you to boot
Hmm.
an OS. And I don't think there was any way I could ever have written anything to do with UEFI, let alone understand it without AI tutelage. It's called Bob, Zam, and Dub is kind of like the main thing, but essentially it's like it's music related. I suck at naming. I'm so sorry. I was trying to find something with a small token usage, so I could use it a
Yeah.
lot, but also play with it. But basically, just trying to figure out how an operating system builds and what we could build between them in order to build a VM that could boot really quickly. It's
Yeah.
publicly available on GitHub. You can download it and play around with it. It's, I think, less than a megabyte large, so it's an operating system less than a meg. It's essentially BusyBox. It's not BusyBox, but it's
Hmm.
BusyBox in UEFI. So it's not too complicated, but it's very handy when you're trying to like bootstrap a bootloader.
Right.
That is what I've made, which I think is useful. It's
Yeah.
super low level, so it's not going to
Yeah.
appeal to everybody, but I think anybody can play around with it.
Cool. Well, last night I was putting together a video, and one of the things that I often show in video is coding, like filling out what the code would look like for whatever example I'm showing. And in the past, I would get a usually VS Code with a black background so that I can make that. You add that as a layer in Final Cut, and
Mhm.
then use a add blending mode so that the black goes away and you just see the
Mhm.
text. And on a kind of transparent, semi-transparent background with me in the back
Nice.
behind it. But before, what I would do is take a chunk of text and then run a keyboard maestro macro that would spit out the text and look like I'm
Of course.
typing, but
Yeah.
very consistently with some variability between keys as it goes in, and then speed that up a little bit so that it's not so painful to watch. But
Mhm.
I was thinking there's got to be a tool out there that will just
Yeah.
look at
ASCII
something and just
Cinema.
like,
ASCII Cinema. Yeah.
yeah, I mean something like that, but not. But and I ended up finding something that I
It's
thought,
a pain. Don't get me wrong. Like you probably want to
yeah,
fork it anyway. If you have
uh,
this specific need, ASCII Cinema is great.
there there was another tool I found which looked pretty cool. I thought, okay, I could probably build something myself, but this looks like it solves a need. I tested it with a kind of a
Mhm.
test situation, but I couldn't actually use it until I paid like a $9 forever license to
Oh
use it.
shit.
I thought, fine, I'm just going to use it. I'll just pay the $9, and then as soon as I start to use it in like actually export it, it's like, well, this sucks. This is not useful. And so I blew $9 on
That's
somebody's
terrible.
passion project. And I thought, fine, I'm just going to build something myself. And so I built something
Right.
that's, I've got whatever my source code is. And then below that, I have some sort of delimiter saying, okay, everything below this is config. And
Mhm.
it says, okay, now 1 to 2. So type out what's in lines 1 to 2. And if
Mhm.
2 has the opening of a bracket, then show the closing bracket. And then 3 to 4, and it types out lines 3 to 4.
That's pretty cool.
Um,
Yeah.
5 colon 0 type the characters 0 to 10 on line
Mhm.
5, and then continue adding pauses as well,
Right.
but be able to go through the entire file. And I built that up in I mean one of the real languages, not Python but JavaScript, actually TypeScript. And yeah, it works so flawlessly. It's so amazing now, and I'm able to very quickly generate that content with the pauses, so I can just drag it into Final Cut, and it is so magical. So that was my thing last
I,
night.
so listen, not to disparage your work, but like it feels like a lot of video apps are just sort of like teetering on top of FFmpeg. What's the stack like? How much do you have between you and
Well, yeah, it
FFmpeg?
is. It is generating images, and then as images, and then stitching it all together with FFmpeg.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, listen, we're all here together. I think a
Yeah,
lot of us are using FFmpeg for as a library for video stuff. But this is one of those tasks that I think a lot of people are able to make on their own. Is kind of that
yeah,
the opposite. Sorry, not what you're doing, but like to tease this out backwards. It's kind of like if there's a video out there, can I get the transcript? Can I pull out the
mm,
important ideas and that kind of? And it feels like one of those things that a lot of us have built as sort of our first thing. Is like don't have time to watch this 10-hour YouTube video, but I want to. I just don't have time. I need that info. How do I get it? Or I've been to a conference
Right.
and they released this playlist. And listen, it was a 3-track
Right.
conference. I was on a couple tracks and like I just didn't. So there's someone on our team, for example, who today made one that went through, I think it was SRECon. And would grab all the videos, grab the
Hmm.
transcripts, and then figure out like what the big important themes were. And this kind of thing is what a lot of people like their own pet rock. In fact, at that
Yeah.
conference, a lot of people were telling me about stuff that they were doing around YouTube videos and stuff
Yep.
like that. But I think, and maybe this is a game theory at work, but like once you're past that, the next question is like, oh, how do I make video? Like, how
Yeah.
does one make a video? And like,
Yeah.
we're all going to land on FFmpeg. I feel like we're all
Yeah.
there. And then Matt, you mentioned this language called TypeScript. And if I remember anything about TypeScript, it's like type equals any yeah. And then you just wait for compile
Don't ever
types at
do
the end.
that. Don't ever do that.
But word fair warning to those in the chat: if you're using a model from
Well,
like last year, just don't tell it. Don't make types equal any. It's like it's a fool's errand. It's not what you want to do.
but there was a company that has like a Obsidian alternative
Mhm.
that does the automatically downloading the transcript, summarizing it, and pulling
Yes.
out all the like key points. And they asked if I wanted to do a sponsored if they could sponsor a video, and I tried it out. I played around with all the things it could do, and that's exactly what it does. It that's one of its key features,
Mm.
and that is exactly why I said no. I'm not going to take that sponsorship because I
Yeah.
find that is a feature that is terrible. I do not. If I mean, if the point is for me to learn from it, I
Right.
need to watch it and come up
Right.
with my own thoughts, not have the AI generate thoughts for me. And now I've got this summarized version of stuff I'm never going to look at. So I think that's
And the
terrible.
problem I've got with like your videos and everybody else, not to like throw you in the same bucket, man, you're special, believe me. But you'll say stuff just like as an aside, like, oh yeah, like I tried that editor years ago and I didn't like it, and then you just move on. I was like, what? Oh, he's talking about Helix. I was like, oh yeah, I was trying Helix yesterday and I love it. Why doesn't he like it? Like you just there's
Yeah,
things that people say off the cuff
yeah,
that generally I found the summary won't catch, and it's
yeah.
like those little, I think the word is shibboleth, but those indicators to me that you really know this
Oh,
problem.
I've heard that word before. Yeah,
I think it's an indicator. Like I wouldn't
yeah,
understand what the word means unless I'm in the
yeah,
know. And a lot of times, people like you, again, sorry to put you in this bucket, but like when you've been doing this for a long, and
yeah,
maybe people like me, but just in a different area, but like when you've been doing things for a long time, you've got things that you think are common knowledge that aren't
yep,
necessarily common knowledge that you will add as throwaway remarks as you're like
yeah,
trying to plug in your laptop or
yeah,
something. And those are the gold for, I like so much about like, what did he
yeah,
just, tensor zero? What the heck is tensor? And I'm
yeah,
like, tensor zero is pretty cool. Like somebody said quadrant, and I couldn't for the life of me, my
yeah.
brain just couldn't like quadrant and quadrant weren't the same thing. And then once I finally realized what quadrant was and started using it as memory, I was like, oh, this is a great memory
Oh,
system.
okay,
But it's like it depends. Like you don't need to use quadrant, but like I was using
right,
Postgres before, and it was like a little bit hokey compared. But those little words that people drop are what I
right,
miss from those
right.
conference summaries, absolutely. And it's just
Yep.
I don't know if there's a way to teach your agent how to do
Hmm.
this or like make that task to it. But I often ask like and look for things that seem like they're off topic or like a word that you don't know or
Right.
something like that. Don't because when it comes up with quote unquote novel ideas, which is my problem generally, like pull out,
Hmm.
tease out novel ideas, it's not always that they are novel. It might be novel to the agent, but
Right.
it's something everybody's been saying for 2 or 3 weeks, which is again novel for this year for sure, but just not novel for me, unfortunately. So.
Yeah. Jade's finding a home in the
Yeah, I see that.
yeah.
There was like a blanket or a shirt there.
There was a
Jade's like,
shirt.
no
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah.
Loose clothing.
So one of the things that
Mhm.
I set up pretty recently that something you said reminded me of it was when I make a video, I do everything in Final Cut. And one of the things you can do when you export, right? You could export an individual, 1920 by 1080, or do a separate one at 1280 by 720, and maybe do one that's just audio. Those would be three separate tasks that you need to do.
Right,
Or you can send it to a compressor job. So a compressor is this $50 add-on
right.
to Final Cut that just converts,
It's it's like
generates
an engine, right?
videos. Like what?
Like an engine, and you could run it on a different computer too if you wanted to. Is my understanding.
Yeah, I think you can. Yeah.
Yeah.
And one of the things that you can do is say, I want it to, if I hand it off to this, then I want it to generate the 1920 by 1080 and the 1280 by 728, which I upload to Patreon, and the audio only as one job. And so I just send it to that, and then I can go away.
Sorry.
Um,
To unlock 4K, Matt, we have to pay on Patreon now. Hey, back up. Did you just say you upload higher res to your Patreon?
no, I upload lower res because Patreon doesn't support the higher res.
Okay. I gotta sign up to your Patreon. We gotta see this. That's amazing. But I
Well, on
do like
Patreon,
that
you
workflow.
it won't support the higher res because it's larger. I mean, larger files, and but I upload that and I don't turn on ads if you're
Oh,
paying.
nice.
So, um, but then the important thing there is the audio, because
Hmm.
it saves the audio to a particular directory, and then I have that picked up by I think it gets picked up by Mac Whisper or one of these
Nice.
tools that will generate a transcript that does a really reliable job. So it generates the transcript and it saves that
Mhm.
to a, um, so I use Obsidian to do all my projects. And so I
Mhm.
have, it will generate a file in a particular folder, which is for one video as the transcript. And as soon as that transcript file shows up in Obsidian, I have an N8N workflow that says, "Oh, there's a new file there. It's a transcript. Go ahead and generate the description of the video." And because it's a transcript, I can also automatically generate all the chapter headings. Um, and so that is something that would take, you know, 10, 20, 30 minutes before. And it's like,
Mhm.
I don't even have to think about it anymore. It
Those
just
chapter headings are
automatic.
massive. Yeah, people don't even
Yeah.
realize like
Yeah.
watching a video without chapter. Like it's
Yeah.
2026. It's almost a
Yeah.
requirement now. Anyone's getting
And
there.
I have it do
I,
all sorts of other things as well. So
I do have a hard stop, so I just wanted to give you a
yeah.
quick check out here. Sorry, I've got a dog
Okay.
barking, but
So
I'm
let's
fine.
run
Just
through
just
my
a
list
checkup.
of
Oh shit!
things.
Oh shit! You go first thing because I don't have much.
Okay. Did you see a cool JSON viewer, a
Oh,
Chrome extension viewer for JSON? I didn't really care about the fact that it was JSON editor. I just love the name of it, JSON Alexander.
no. Moving on.
Okay.
Sorry, folks. That was a
Um,
Seinfeld joke for
yeah,
the
yeah.
younger people in the audience.
I finally saw Project Hail Mary. Have you
Oh,
seen that
how was it?
movie? It was
I have not.
fantastic.
Oh,
Fantastic.
okay. I will watch it.
I'd say it does. It's a little different than the book, and both are fantastic on their own. Usually, you
Right
think
on.
like the book is better than the movie. No, no. I'd say they're different, and they're both great. I started
I mean,
reading
it's
a book.
94% on Rotten Tomatoes. Like Matt's opinion
Yeah.
is
Oh, yeah.
valid, but also
Yeah.
it seems like the internet agrees.
Yeah. I started reading an amazing book called Infinity Gate.
Ooh.
Oh, so cool about different Earths, different
Ooh.
yeah, and you're like stepping on these transport steps that like take you to another
Ooh.
Earth, and this person has on our Earth has discovered how to do this and thinks she's
Yes, yes, yes.
something unique, and she transports to a different world or has a drone transported to a different world, and then a series of worlds. But turns out in those other worlds, there's an authority that manages these jumps, and she is breaking the law without even
I love
knowing.
this.
Oh,
I love
it's
this.
fantastic. It's a
Hard.
fantastic
I'm
story.
totally here for hard sci-fi. Yeah, it's fantastic. I will say the internet doesn't necessarily agree with you here. It's like an 80% rating. But for those of you who like hard sci-fi,
I
that's
haven't,
science fiction based around actual
I haven't,
science. I think it's pretty
I
good.
haven't gotten to
Maybe it's got,
the end. I mean, I'm only halfway
maybe it's got
through,
a bad ending.
so
I think
it
that's
might
fine.
suck
The
after a
journey
while.
sounds amazing. I'm here for it.
Yeah. You see, the Mac Mini 256 gig is gone.
256 gig storage.
Storage, yeah.
Okay, no. So the
Yeah.
smaller one. So the one that was sold out
No,
for
no, the
months.
256 RAM.
RAM?
Dynamic.
No.
Wait,
That
what
was
did
my dream.
I wrote down
Oh,
something. 256. I wonder what I wrote down. One of the Mac Minis disappeared like yesterday or day before.
oh, I thought it was the cheap one.
Oh, it was the
Yeah,
cheap
yeah, yeah.
one. Yeah, yeah. The
The
256
256
gig
storage token.
storage.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah,
there's no more $600
yeah,
US
that's
Mac
right.
Mini, which is honestly a shame. I get why though. It's not the storage and the memory.
Yeah,
The memory
yeah,
on that machine is worth $600 now at
yeah.
16 gigabytes, which is anyway. Moving on.
I am excited. I am so excited because I went and I was able to
Okay.
delete. I was able to delete all my browsers except for one. I've narrowed it down to one browser. I got rid of
Chromium.
Firefox and Arc and Dia
Okay.
and Min
Okay.
and Helix
Okay.
and
Okay.
Helix. I think it was or Helium.
I haven't
Helium
said comment yet.
and Zen and there were all sorts of browsers I forgot even existed. I forgot they were browsers, and
I
I've
don't think I
gone.
heard Firefox.
Firefox was the first one I
Oh,
listed as being
oh
deleted.
shoot. Shoot.
I have completely gone to Orion.
Okay, how did you delete Safari? No, I'm just teasing. What's Orion?
Orion is the most fantastic browser from Kagi,
Oh, we talked about this last time.
Kagi.
I'm so sorry. Yes, yes, yes.
And what's one of the, I mean, I think one of the things that some people will like is that it's a browser that supports both Chrome and Firefox extensions,
Right.
which is pretty cool. But it's just like fast and does all the things I want it to do, and blows away. Yeah, Zen and was it Helix? I think it was Helix, but the Helium is also one. Um,
I
and
think Helix is
oh,
an editor. Sorry, I was
Helix
kind
was
of
an
memeing when
editor.
I said it because I've never used it. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
it's a Vim fork.
Helium.
Anyway.
Oh, that's right, right, right. Helium and Zen. Got rid of all those. So
Yeah,
I'm
and
super
someone in the
excited.
chat is saying the same. Yeah, Helix and Zen browsers. Now, are you not at the point where you're forking Chromium? Because I feel like a lot of us have
No,
started down this. Honestly, like please don't anyone in the chat don't do this. It's like
no.
even
It's no.
compiling
I do
Chromium
not
takes
want
about
to.
6 hours.
I don't want to compile browsers. I'm not interested.
It's bad. It's like a
Yeah.
bad compile. Even Linux compiles faster for those of you who've yet to try
And
this.
related to Orion, so it's
Hmm.
Kagi, and Kagi.com runs
Right.
their own search engine as well.
Oh, you moved off of Search
And
NG? Ooh.
so I'm stopped using Search NG as my main search engine.
Wow.
Using Kagi, it's one that you pay for, so there's no ads on it. There's no sponsored links. It is what you search for. They also have some of the deep research stuff that you might use Perplexity or some other tools for. It has all that if you pay. I mean, so it's a paid service, and so I'm paying monthly for
I
that.
hear you.
I think it's
You're
fantastic.
voting with your wallet, right? I think that kind of
Fantastic.
says a lot. And similarly, I think you and I both moving away from Tavily instead of paying for like a research search engine, et cetera, via API is also kind of telling. Yeah, I know. Do you see the chat?
Yeah, yeah. Helix. I meant helium. Yeah, I was like, Helix. Is it Helix? Is it helium? I don't know. I deleted
It's
one of those.
okay. And Cam,
And
thank you very much for
I
the comments. But yeah, it feels like that's
I
GNU
mean,
Linux.
Helix feels at first like a Vim replacement,
Right.
but then you realize it's nowhere close to. I didn't find it. I I was excited about it, and then I was not excited about it.
We've got a programmer on our side, Scott Gearing, who loves Rust, which might give you
Mm-hmm.
some color here, but
Mm-hmm.
loves this editor as well. And I think he's
Oh,
probably
okay.
hacking on Helix and using
Oh, okay.
Helix, is my understanding, and that might be why he really likes
Yeah.
it. But he's the only reason.
And then, I've got written down. So one of the things that you may have noticed in any video I've had for a while is that
Mhm.
I have these glasses that do not stay on my nose, and I'm constantly
Right?
pushing them up, which is
Yeah,
why
yeah.
it's like it's like
You get like a
worn
line.
down right there. So I finally have glasses. I finally like picked out a couple of frames, and
Yeah.
so I've got them coming in another week,
I,
so I'm very
I think
excited
you
about
should try
that.
like a monocle. I think that might be like
Yeah, you think so? I'll just snap these in half and have a monocle.
oh, have you seen
Um,
those? I saw some of those recently, and my partner told me like this is maybe not the sexiest thing to have. It's like glasses that you can like.
oh yeah, yeah. That's not a new
I
thing,
think for like readers or reading
right?
glasses or
Yeah,
something. Yeah, the ones that like the
yeah.
yeah. So they're all like it's kind of like a necklace, but yeah.
Was there anything else on my list? Because you've got to go soon. Oh well, one thing. There was a no. That's not worth talking about. Um, no, I don't think. I think. Oh, I saw that Florida, state of Florida. Um, oh man, I can't figure out what I said here. Um,
Oh, you wrote it.
they
It's
they
handwritten. Sorry.
yeah. They were testing candy. Apparently the state of Florida tested candy, different types of
Okay.
candy, for dangerous levels of something. I don't know what it.
What?
Um, it's not strychnine. I don't know what. I don't know. I don't know. Something dangerous that's often in the soil. But apparently, they were saying like all these candies, they are like deadly. They have so much higher levels of something. Are you seeing this?
Yeah, arsenic. Sorry,
Arsenic.
I was
It
like,
is arsenic.
I was reading. Yeah,
Ah,
because
that
apparently
could
they
be
got the study
arsenic.
really wrong. Yeah, yeah.
They got it completely wrong. They did
That's what I was reading. Is the headline that said they got it wrong. Sorry.
did the testing that they did was looking at soil arsenic levels rather than food arsenic levels, and so so you end up with something that is many orders of magnitude higher if it's in the soil because the soil has much bigger impact on the food growing on it in it
Gotcha.
than a food itself. And so yeah, I just thought it was just funny. I don't know why I wrote it down, but
No, that's okay. I would assume you wouldn't want to be ingesting arsenic, but
right.
also, having talked to people who try to sell you watered down bleach, it sounds like you can water down most things, right?
Sure. And it's always exciting when I find interesting news about Florida, having grown up in Florida.
Right.
So Florida
Now,
man, that whole thing.
my recommendation is pretty
Oh yeah,
straightforward.
I took
It's
all
that
the time.
if you've got Apple Arcade, I don't know, before a trip, before once in a while, have a look at Apple Arcade. There's good games in there.
Mm-hmm.
The one that I found recently, which I paid for and I felt guilty about because I already paid for it, is Civilization 7, which I've actually paid
oh.
for twice, is my understanding. I think I paid it for it on Steam and then I paid for it on Switch too. It
Mm-hmm.
is Civilization. It's got some, creature comforts and things like that. A lot of what would you say things that make it a little bit easier to play.
Mm-hmm.
We've removed some of that burden in there. It's absolutely free on Apple Arcade. It's called
Hmm.
Sid Meier's Civilization 5. Sorry, can't even talk. 7 Arcade Edition. So grab that. I'm not sure if it comes with all the DLC, but if you're on Apple Arcade, it is free. If you've not played this game, I think to me, it feels like it simulates a few things that are similar to what I'm doing on a regular basis. That is
Mm.
trying to dispatch agents to do work and then
Right.
having them come back, not having done the work. It's a nice metaphor, if you will. And if you're not on Apple Arcade and you need something else, I have I talked about Claude Island before? I think that had to get renamed. Have you
No.
heard of this? It's called Vibe Notch now, but you know the little notch thing on your Mac that you probably
Okay.
hate, the
Yeah.
little island. It
Yeah.
makes it useful and it tells you when Claude's done or open code or what have you, and it just uses hooks. So
Ah.
I would suggest looking at it's called Claude Island. You can dig into it and look at it and figure out
So it's
what's going
just.
on.
I mean, because Open Code and others have it'll like ping a little indicator saying, "Okay, I'm done."
You got it.
Yeah.
Now, the one
And
that
so
you
just like
might
some of
like
that.
that I don't like is called just a second here. Naturals. I'm trying to find it up because I think this needed to. I gotta be very careful here. Okay, have you heard about goblins? Has that come across
Why
your
are people
news?
talking about goblins unless I've seen a
Okay,
few?
this is
Don't
why I'm
talk
trying to be
about the
very careful.
goblins. What is?
Okay, so there is an add-on who's sorry, the name got renamed, and I can't really say it because I think I'm going to say Claude something or say the name wrong. Basically, in Warcraft 2, when you're clicking around and you send your stuff out, this is like job done because I'm like you know that little thing that they say. We'll talk about that first. So it's essentially a little thing that lives where Claude Island does, but it's orcs from Warcraft 2, and they'll let you know when job's done. Not really a fan of it. But what I did want to talk about, and the reason I prefer Claude Island to this is because, yeah, goblins seem to be an issue. And maybe I'm not a nice person, but as a typo squatter in the Gen AI age, it feels to me like you should make a project called Goblins. So I made Goblin Mode. You should definitely make one called Gremlins, another one called Raccoon.
Yeah.
But essentially, what's going on is the GPT models are hallucinating these, well, apparently hallucinating these words. I don't know about you, but like 2 years ago, you and I had a podcast talking about like the companies that were getting VC funds in the Gen AI space. Do you remember the predominant category 2 years ago in the space? Does it ring a bell? It was role playing. Do you remember role playing, character AI, and all that stuff?
Yeah.
My assumption, and listen, this is world first right here. My assumption is that there's so many people playing like role playing games with ChatGPT, like wrapper models out there, that it's like it thinks that these are really, really important things. And also, like these models love to LARP, like live action role play, which I'm sure you already know. If you tell it's a movie, like a movie scene, or like we need to make this code to make like a new Hackers episode believable or something like that, it'll do it for you, no problem. I think what's happening is it's coming up with like standard RPG elements in its code, and it probably has a whole bunch of them that we're just not noticing because they're in common parlance. But it's not even Goblin mode. It's literally talking about goblins, and they permeate a lot of their responses. I've come across this once, sum total, my whole time, and I just assumed that I thought I was role playing some sort of RPG, and I just left it there. And this was like 2 years ago. I think that this is why they've been trained, because I don't think it's unique to ChatGPT, even though no one else has admitted to it. So I've seen it elsewhere, and it might be like some sort of distillation that's going on, but it does like to be talking about goblins all the time.
Yeah.
And I think if you make a skill that picks up on goblins, it will just use that for you, which is actually kind of interesting. But again, don't do anything bad.
I saw a video pretty recently about it could have been like a West Boss or somebody else talking about this name of a person that keeps showing up in marketing, like testimonials, and is like
nice. West Boss,
Fred Gonzalez, and Amy Chin are these two. I can't remember if those are the names, but something like that.
So funny.
And they are all the models, all of the like ChatGPT and Claude and a bunch of others all come up. You give me 10 names for testimonials. Those are the names that always come up on every model.
That is so funny. I think we had a story about this a while ago. I think it might have been a year ago, where somebody had like an API, and the models kept hallucinating the same thing. There was an endpoint that didn't exist, and he was like, "Well, why don't I just make this endpoint and see what happens?" And it became like the most popular feature, and they ended up pivoting as a result. But this is what I think of, and a lot of times when I'm using Datadog, I'm kind of like, "Oh, what feature could you use, or what feature did you think was there?" Because I'm running skills, right? And it's like, well, I can wrap what you think in a skill and kind of give you the same thing, even though it's not the same. Or like, how did you think the top 10 list is going to, did you think it was going to be ordered? Because it's not ordered. So we're like fixing some of this stuff in the MCP server too. But it's very interesting to figure out what the agents want to use, or what they're reaching for, basically. So you can kind of give them that T-Rex claw to give you what you need, and bridge the gap in between. Sorry, I definitely went over time.
You are 4 minutes late.
I will run. All right. Thank you, folks, for all the comments. That was fantastic.
Yeah, thanks. It was
really
fun.
Appreciate it.
All
right, sir.